All right, guys, you just got FSD Beta, or you just got your Tesla with FSD Beta, and you want to know about these strikes. You want to know about these strikes that disable or kick you out of having the beta. How do you get them? What triggers them, etc. We're going to break that all down for you right now. Guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And of course, thanks for subscribing. Today, we're going to talk about the strikes for FSD Beta. For anyone that's new, that just got it, you want to understand what it is, what it isn't, how to activate it, how to get one or how one is levied against you, and what you can do to mitigate that. All right. So first and foremost, let's give a little bit of a history lesson just to understand the two systems here that are acting as one in Autopilot. So a little bit of a history lesson. Autopilot is the name of it, is the name of the system, the autonomous or semi-autonomous system, advanced driver assistance system that Tesla has in place, okay? And they initially came out with that Autopilot to be an all-encompassing system for a system that can provide you with semi-autonomous capabilities on the highway as well as the city streets. However, as they started to roll out certain features and develop certain features were ready before others. Primarily the city streets aspect of it, which would encompass more of the true autonomy of turning and obeying stop signs and traffic control, etc., was not ready. So they came out with Autopilot Highway first, which they dubbed Autopilot. The problem was, as people bought Teslas and they bought the Autopilot option, there was some, sort of asterisks to say coming soon for certain features. And that became problematic. Tesla had lawsuits because they never delivered on those features, yada, yada, yada. And so what they decided to do was to decouple the naming convention so it was clear between city streets and highway. And they created something called Autopilot. And they created the sort of semi-autonomous capability of just highway autopilot, known as Navigate on Autopilot, right? Navigate on Autopilot being the highway variant of that. And what they call full self-driving beta, which is the city streets variant of that. But it's all encompassing as Autopilot. That's why when you click the Autopilot button, these features come in here. Now, technically, they're two separate applications running on two separate code bases, but they're all considered Autopilot. So that's the case here. So whether you have the full self-driving city streets feature of that, or you just have the highway feature of that, it is all inclusive of Autopilot. The full Autopilot would be considered highway autopilot, navigate on autopilot, as well as full self-driving beta. The combination of those features is what encompasses the true full autopilot. But the naming convention is weird. Tesla got it a little bit wrong, I think. They maybe should have made the highway version Copilot and then made the full self-driving one Autopilot just to differentiate a little better, but probably some copyright issues, so on and so forth. All right, so now that we got the history out of the way, let's talk about what you currently have. If you have a new car, you bought the Autopilot option, you paid for the FSD full self-driving feature, then you have the capability to have full self-driving beta. Full self-driving beta requires you to qualify in using the Tesla mobile app and having a safety score of a certain score. And once you do that, that feature will be rolled out to you. You will no longer have a safety score in your Tesla app unless you are using Tesla insurance. And beyond that, you'll now have the option for full self-driving beta. When you have full self-driving beta, it gives you a warning that FSD Beta will no longer operate if it is disabled 5 times. Okay, 5 times. You get 5 strikes, if you will, to use Autopilot in a way that the system thinks that is improper. And after that, you'll be locked out and you won't be able to have FSD Beta. Now, I don't know if a refund comes with that. I don't know about those details, but this is just based on what the language is in the car. All right. Now, once you have FSD Beta and it is enabled, meaning the toggle is toggled on, then that means that those strikes that you get will be accrued when you're using full self-driving beta, city streets, or if you're using navigate on autopilot via highway. Now, I'll say that it's probably much easier to get a strike on the city streets variant than it is on the highway variant in its current form, because they're two separate code bases, and maybe there's a little bit more leniency for what you can do on highway versus city streets. But if you do accumulate a forced disengagement, that's what Tesla uses as the language, a forced disengagement where the system feels that you're not adhering to the audible warnings, the visual warnings, it will impart on you a forced disengagement. Red steering wheel comes up, and from there, you'll be kicked out for the duration, okay? And you'll get a strike. Now, for the duration, that means to the next time you reset the car, that means you have to get out the car, get back in, then it resets. Now, if you are not on the beta and you don't have this full self-driving beta option available to you and you're just on autopilot, you still can accumulate those sort of forced disengagements. They're just not tallied to the point where it's disabled. So if you're just using Navigate on Autopilot, Highway Autopilot, and you are not paying attention to the warnings, it will kick you out. It will give you a forced disengagement. It'll tell you to take over, and it'll tell you that autopilot is unavailable for the remainder of the trip, in which case you have to get out of the car, close the door, let it lock, get back in the car, and then it will reset and you can use autopilot again. However, those don't tally against this tally right here, all right? That's if FSD Beta is disabled or not even active in your car and you just have Navigate on Autopilot, Highway Autopilot. If you do have FSD Beta and it's engaged, then you'll accumulate strikes for either one of those. So if you're on highway and you're not paying attention, you get a forced disengagement, it's going to kick you out, and that's going to tally against this. And now, if you're on FSD Beta and you're in the city streets, you have the red curbs and the higher fidelity visualization on the screen, and you're in local roads and not on the highway, then you're going to also get those strikes if you're not paying attention, or if it sees you looking at a phone or looking at something that's a phone that's close to your face and feels like you're not paying attention. It will levy a strike against you, and that will count against this tally. Now, if I turn this off here, I can still accumulate strikes, but it won't count against this if I turn this off, meaning FSD Beta is available in my car, but disabled. It's not enabled. Only when I enable it, you have that ticker here. Okay. And it only resets when you get a new software update, potentially. They'll choose when they want to reset the counter or whatever the case may be, but only a new software update can reset this counter. Restarting the car won't reset it. Reflashing the firmware won't set it. Getting the service center to look at it, they can't reset it. Only the beta team can send a new update that will reset your count here. So be very, very careful not to accumulate too many strikes here, because you will get kicked out and you won't be able to access your FSD Beta functionality in your car, okay? So Highway Autopilot, City Autopilot, effectively known as FSD Beta. These are two components of the autopilot functionality. And once you have the city streets component and you've qualified in, you have 5 strikes that you can accumulate strikes against in order for you to stay in the beta or get kicked out of the beta or get it removed from your car effectively by not allowing for this to happen. Now, I understand why Tesla needs to do this. I understand the level of scrutiny they're under and how safe they have to be with this and cautious they have to be with this rolling it out. But this is it, all right? So if you're taking these off, if you actually turn these off, both of these off, and drive manually, you won't have any strikes levied against you if you do whatever, because it's not actively monitoring you to pay attention. It's only when you activate this on the highway or on city streets with guidance or without guidance, as long as it's active, enabled and active, that it's going to levy strikes against you. So drive manually if you want to do your own thing. If you're on the highway and you just want to do highway autopilot and don't want to leverage this full self-driving or risk getting a strike, you can turn this off, okay? Or you can turn them both off and just drive manually the entire way, okay? But once this is on, you're going to start to levy these strikes against this counter and this tally here, and you might be in trouble. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. Did you get a strike? Were you not paying attention? Did you have a phone too close to your face? Were you looking somewhere and it thought you were looking somewhere else and you didn't adhere to it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until the next time,
enjoy your day, enjoy your Tesla.